Hello everyone, and welcome back to FPL Natty. It is almost here. It is almost here. I can almost touch it, and that is game week number one. It is imminent for the 2023-2024 season. And I know, just like me, a lot of you are wondering, who are you picking for your squad? I am still tinkering with my team, even right up until this deadline, which is coming up today at 6:30 p.m. Am I going to bring in Trent? Can I fit Salah in as well as Haaland and also some top other midfielders and defenders? Is Nicholas Jackson gonna bang like he's been banging in pre-season? Who's gonna get minutes out of the Arsenal team? Out of Martinelli, Havertz, Odegaard, Saka? Do you go for Nketiah as a possible forward option, or will it be Havertz? I don't know. There's so much to unpack here for this game week number one team selection, but I'm happy to be back. And if you haven't already joined me already, subscribe to my channel. You know what to do. All information is down there below. Subscribe, press that bell so you know I'm going to be posting my next videos or whatever. Follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, all these other places where you can find me. But most importantly, I'm grateful you are here and you will join me in this video today. So let's kick off right away and let's see what I'm going to be doing for my game week one team selection. So as you can see on the screen there, I am going to go with a 3-5-2 formation. It was really tricky finding good forward options that wasn't just having the one option, as we know who that one is, and we'll come to that later. So to add to that, I thought maybe I can go to, I think, three in the current team I have, you will see, isn't going to really work, and I really want to pack out that midfield with some strong midfield options. So let's see who I've gone for. First of all, it is Onana. I'm a Man United fan. If you guys don't know already and you haven't been on my page before, I support Manchester United, and they did have a decent season last season. They kept 17 clean sheets, and that was with David De Gea, but they've got a new guy, and his name is Andre Onana, and he is coming from Inter Milan. So he has got some really big shoes to fill for David De Gea's spot at the minute. As I said, 17 clean sheets. He won the Golden Glove. So what would he do in that goalkeeper position? We've seen what he's done already in pre-season currently. He's got great passing ability, and he can have a potential for strong bonus points across the game weeks. But let's see how it goes. He has made a few mistakes in pre-season, but I think he has been a bit nervous, and he's gotten used to, well, he's trying to get used to the defense in front of him with Varane, Martinez, and possibly Lindelof if those other two are injured. Luke Shaw as well, and Delo or Wan-Bissaka on the right. But I wanted to get him in my team because he's a decent price at 5 million. And also I wanted an option how to get into the Manchester United defense. So he's going to be my first pick because I didn't really want to go with, let's go forwards. Defenders, these are my three defenders. Let's start with the first one, John Stones. He's a treble winning defender, averaging about 4 points per game last season. Yes, he was hampered by a few injuries, but he still came through, keeping 7 clean sheets in the time that he was playing, 2 goals and 2 assists. And now Pep has him in a more advanced position, playing in the midfield. So you kind of, he's got an inverted role pretty much into the midfield. So that means he has the potential to have more points because he's moving further up the pitch. Do I think he's going to be a minutes risk with the new defender they're bringing in? We've also got Akanji, you have Ake as well. So those are 3 strong centre backs that they already have. You also got Diaz, but he might be injured currently. But I know that with Carl Walker, and I don't know who else plays on the left, I can't remember, they have a strong team. But I believe that because Stones has moved to the midfield areas, he's going to be a great guy to have in your team. And so alongside of him, I've gone with a guy who I had last season. He's owned by over 53% of people currently, so you guys know what he did already. 1 goal, 7 assists and 10 clean sheets last season in a strong Brighton team, and he attempted 18 shots from inside the box, creating 49 chances for Brighton last season. So I'm expecting to carry on where they left off. Yes, they might have been missing McAllister and looks like Caicedo. I'm not sure what's happening there, whether he's going to go to Chelsea or Liverpool at this stage. But with that information, I think he still is going to be a good team. Robert De Zerbi is a fantastic manager. So I think keep Estupinian if you already haven't gotten him. And to complete my defense, I've got Gabriel. Gabriel plays for Arsenal, and he's a fantastic price in FPL right now. He is 5 million. I reckon he's going to go up pretty quickly based on Arsenal's fixtures. Their next fixtures are Forest, Palace, and Fulham. So with those fixtures, I reckon there's 3 points, 3 points. That's 9 points for each of those games. Gabriel is a starter in that Arsenal defense. He started all 38 games for Arsenal last season, and his XG is 5.04, which is the second highest among all of the defenders. And as we know, Gabriel likes to go out for corners and set pieces, and he had the third highest shots among all defenders. So he's a great goal threat if you don't have him already. And for 5 million, it's kind of a no-brainer. So if we're moving on to my midfield, let's have a look at who I've got there. Gone for a 5-man midfield, as I said already, and there's some new people in here. There is a template team, as we know already, and it has been switched between some of these players, but there are some new ones. So let's talk about that. We'll start with Mbeumo. He plays for Brentford, and we know the situation with Ivan Toney already, who is suspended. So the talisman for that in attack will be Mbeumo. He does play up front there with Wissa usually, but last season he scored 6 goals and 3 assists in 10 games, and that was without Ivan Toney. With Toney, it was 9 goals and 9 assists. So I think they have figured out a way how to play without Ivan Toney. As we know, Thomas Frank, their manager, is a really, really good manager. He has cemented himself now for a few seasons into the Premier League, and we know that Brighton are a strong attacking team. So he was a forward last season on FPL and Mbeumo, but now he is a midfielder. So that means more points and more goals and more clean sheet points overall, because he's playing up front for Brentford, but he's listed as a midfielder, which is really, really, really good. I know a lot of you were worried about the injury notice that is on him at the minute, but just today is Friday, it's been said by Thomas Frank that he has recovered from his dead leg that he did receive in pre-season. I think they were playing Lille or something. So he has recovered from that, so nothing to worry about. Also, nothing to worry about with the guy next to him. This is Matoma. This one I was really unsure about adding him for my team this season, because pretty much he was discussed in everyone's team for what he did last season. He got 7 goals, 9 assists, and 8 clean sheets. But he did share a lot of those points with Solly March and also McAllister as well, who's now gone to Liverpool. But the problem I am having slightly with Matoma, that he is also going to be sharing his minutes possibly with Ferguson, Pedro, and Enciso. And all those players have been new additions to the Brighton squad. So Matoma did do good last season, as I said by the stats already, but just something to consider if you are looking for something else, that you might want to think about the minutes that might be managed by him, because there's other players that do play in his position. A new guy who's coming to my team is Richarlison, and again there is a slight, it's a very small question mark that is over his head, because as we know, when you're reading this, you were hearing about the Harry Kane saga that is going on right now, whether he's going to leave, is he going to stay, is he going to go to Bayern Munich, is he going to go somewhere else, what is going to happen, is he going to run his contract out and leave for free next season? I don't know, but what I do know is that if Harry Kane leaves, then the upside for Richarlison is very, very high, because he, again, just like Mbeumo, he's priced as a midfielder, but he's going to play as a number 9. I don't see their manager bringing in a striker who's gonna go straight into that number 9 position. I just don't see it. They might bring in some backup people. Say they get 100 million for Harry Kane. Who are they going to spend 100 million on to go up front? The only player I can see off the top of my head is Lukaku, but I think he's already looking like he's going to go to Juventus. But talking about Richarlison, he's a fantastic price. He is 7 million. Yes, he didn't do great last season, but Tottenham didn't do good at all last season. But I think Harry Kane, I think Richarlison in that number 9 position, just like he plays for Brazil, he's going to be really, really good. He currently has 49 goals and 33 assists in his whole Premier League career. We saw what he did at Everton, so we know that he can do a good job up front. And we know with that new manager that they do have, Postecoglou, I think his name is. He comes from Celtic. He plays an attacking formation 2-3-5 with inverted fullbacks, and that is going to benefit Richarlison, who's always hanging in and around the box. He's good on headers as well. And with Maddison coming in from corners and set pieces, we know there's a lot that they can do up front. Richarlison is a sure pick with a small question mark in my team for this season. These two guys, you already know who they are. Let's start with Saka, Bukayo Saka. I really like him. I don't like Arsenal in general, but I really do like Saka. He is a fantastic England player and a great Arsenal player as well. We've seen for a few seasons now how he is nailed on in that Arsenal team, and he is on penalties. He is a good penalty taker. He missed a couple last season, but he still is on penalties. He's the number one penalty taker. And last season, he produced 25 attacking returns, which is 14 goals and 11 assists. That is fantastic. And we do know that Arsenal have added to their squad with Trossard and Havertz as well. Yes, Gabriel Jesus is out, but I do believe that Arsenal do have the attacking capabilities to produce great returns. Okay, they do have the attacking capabilities to produce great returns, not only for FPL managers but for themselves as well. And Saka will be among those, no doubt about it. He is not a minutes risk at all. And he's slightly more expensive than Martinelli, but he has the upside because he's on penalties. So I was really confused about whether or not I was going to add him and Martinelli, but I just went with one because sometimes you don't know what the minutes are going to be with Martinelli, with Trossard and Balogun, and when Gabriel Jesus comes back. It could be a bit tricky with knowing which one to play, but Saka, you never have that issue with. Also, another guy you never have issue with is Rashford as well. He makes up the fifth man in my midfield. Currently, he's about 50% owned across the whole of the FPL space. Last season, 17 goals, 7 assists. Okay, so last season, Man United didn't play a striker because they didn't have one. As we know, Martial was nowhere to be seen. Cristiano Ronaldo left just before the World Cup, so that was, yeah, they had no one to play in the area. So Rashford kind of took on that role as a striker. Also, he came off the left a little bit as well. 17 goals, 17 assists, an XGI of 24.97. That is absolutely massive. The question you have to ask yourself, was that an overperformance on last season based on his position? We know that they have now signed Rasmus Højlund, but he's injured currently, but that is not going to last always. So when he does come in, will that limit the returns that Rashford has? But for now, I do think Rashford is a good player to have in your team. Fixtures against Wolves this week, and then he's got Tottenham and Forest. He can produce returns in all of those games. They've got Mount and Bruno in behind. We do know who we know they've got Casemiro and Ericsson as well. They got strong players on the wings as well with Sancho, Garnacho, Anthony. These are top players, top world class players, and with Rashford leading the line for now to Højlund comes. We'll see what happens when Højlund comes. I think it's going to be a good shout to have him in your team, purely based on the fact that he's in form and he had a great season last season. Moving on to my forwards, I've gone with two forward players. One of them you already know, one not so much. So let's just crack straight into it. The first one is João Pedro. He's a new signing coming from Watford, and he has secured the forward role in this Brighton team, and that is ahead of Enciso, as I mentioned before. Who else? Danny Welbeck, who's up there. So yeah, João Pedro has secured that role, it's seeming to, from what I've seen in pre-season, and has been on penalties, taking them away from Pascal Gross, who used to have them before. So those are two fantastic things that I've seen from an FPL perspective, that he's seems to be on pens, and also he seems to have that number 9 spot wrapped up for Brighton at the moment. Now with Brighton, I do love them. They are a great team to watch, and their next fixtures are looking so good at the moment. They have 4 home matches in 6 weeks, so he can start this campaign on the front foot, knowing that he can lead the line and kind of get used to playing in the Prem for a really good side. If his minutes are managed, however, then I may look to move him on to maybe a Nicholas Jackson or Callum Wilson, Isak, something like that, or maybe we'll see what Hoyland does. I might move to him later on in the season as well, depending on what the fixtures is saying. And alongside him is a guy that needs no introduction, but if you don't know who he is, his name is Erling Haaland, or Erling Haaland. His name is Erling Haaland, and he's priced at 14 million this season, and that is a super high price. And it's only the fourth time in Premier League history that any player has been priced that high. But if you look at what he did last season, it is absolutely deserved. It is earned that price. 36 goals and 9 assists last season, averaging about 7.8 points per match. Absolutely fantastic. We saw what he did, back-to-back hat tricks numerous times in the season. So for me, Haaland is, it just has to be in all of your teams. And to be honest, over at the time of this, 88.5% of managers own Haaland. If you don't have him, I think you need to have him in your team, because you might find yourself behind the curve because of the potential points that Man City and particularly him are going to pull this season. With games against Burnley, Newcastle, and Sheffield United up next, it kind of makes no sense not to have him. You have to have him, which is why he's going to be my captain. It's a no-brainer. Have Haaland as your captain. He's probably going to be my captain most weeks, unless he's injured or playing a really top team, because we know that he's not the best playing against some of the top 4 teams. But it doesn't matter. Who am I going to move him on to in my team currently? Maybe Rashford, possibly. Or if he does get injured, I might move him on to Salah. But who knows? That is for another day. But right now, for game week number 1, he is going to be my captain. And onto my bench, last but not least, let's have a look. We got, first of all, Johnston. I know a lot of you guys had him in your first team as your main goalkeeper, but I've gone with Anana because I just prefer him. And you know, Crystal Palace, they are a good side and have great fixtures. They've got Sheffield United, Arsenal, Brentford, Wolves, Aston Villa and Fulham in their first 6. So there's some really good teams in there that they can do well against. But I will look to rotate him with Onana depending on what the fixtures are saying. And you're probably wondering why Johnson has been spoken about so much and what happened to the other keeper. Well, Guaita has decided that he just doesn't want to play for Crystal Palace anymore and has refused to play, refused to train. So this is why Sam Johnson has had to step up and be in our teams. And it's really good because he's a great price and he's going to be the #1 goalkeeper for Crystal Palace. A great budget option. And as we know how tight that Crystal Palace have been since Roy Hodgson has come in, they have been fantastic with the clean sheets and also limiting the amount of goals that have been conceded. I think it was only about 11 goals or maybe less since Roy Hodgson came in. So he is a great option to have him in your team. And who knows, I might make the switch to put him in my first, as my #1 goalkeeper. But right now, he is my bench option. Alongside him was a guy I was contemplating putting in, and that is Ollie Watkins. He was really good last season as well, but I was just worried about this first game Aston Villa going to St James's Park, as we know the strong defence they do have, and usually Newcastle do start strong. But we will see if I make that switch very early on. I'm not quite sure, but Ollie Watkins is a fantastic striker. He has gone up in price this year, but it's well deserved. It's well deserved. We saw what he did last season from game week number 15. He averaged 5.6 points per match, scoring 13 goals and had 6 assists. So that tells you the pedigree that he has. He has, I think he's pressing to make the England team as well, but that's a separate conversation. And my last 2 people on my bench, I got Chilwell first of all. I got him there because Chelsea have Liverpool and Chelsea are looking a bit, not. I'm not overly happy about putting Chelsea players into my first team just yet, and just until I see how they play Pochettino, I'm happy with having Chilwell on my bench right now. Yes, it's an expensive bench option at 5.5, but Liverpool's their first game anyway. I pretty much can guarantee that Liverpool will score. Okay, so with that, Chilwell's on my bench. But what I got to say about Chilwell is that he's been playing an advanced position in pre-season currently. He scored in a goal and got an assist. And after this Liverpool game, he does have decent fixtures. So I'm not too fussed about keeping him. And I think next week I'm probably going to put him in my first team anyway. But for this season, game week one, I wanted to pack up my midfield. And I only wanted three defenders, and I think the three that I have were the best ones. And the last person to hold up my bench option is Kobore. He plays for Luton Town, an attacking wing back for Luton on loan from Manchester City. He is nailed on in that squad, and I don't know how much rotation I'm going to put him in for the time being, but he only costs about 4 million anyway. But he does have a blank in game week number 2, so that is something to look out for if you are wondering about putting him in your team. So have a think about that one. So that is my complete game week 1 team 3-5-2 formation. Captain is Erling Haaland. Vice captain is Marcus Rashford, as you can see there. I'm pretty happy with that. I think especially with the midfield, I've got some strong attacking players that are playing out of position in terms of their midfielders class as forwards. There are a few anomalies and differentials in there. I think João Pedro is one, Richarlison. That's probably about it. Maybe Onana, because people are going for a cheaper goalkeeper. But I'm very happy with this team. I think that it's a strong start. There are a few changes I want to make, but right now I'm looking to just stick with what I have. There's so many options out there. My list was extensive in terms of who I wanted to go for. I was looking at Madison. I looked at Trent at one time. Looked at some of the Newcastle defenders as well. There's options across the park, to be honest. So let me know what you think about this team and what other players you think I've left out, or what team or what players you have in your team that I may have missed. So as I said, not long now until game week number 1 starts. I'm excited about the game today. I'm going to be watching that. Hopefully you watch it as well. And yeah, I am back. FPL Natty is back to discuss all the FPL situations that will be affecting us for this coming season, 2023-2024 season. We are back. Let's kick off with a bang. Hopefully you like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already joined my mini league, it's up there somewhere. Join it. The auto link should be down below. The code is there. Just type it in. Join it whenever you want. Follow me on TikTok as well. Do some like really quirky updates, some quick time updates, some live updates about my team and just about football in general. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.